Special Hero by Christina M. Kirshen. When I was a baby, you would hold me in your arms. I felt the love and tenderness, keeping me safe from harm. I would look up into your eyes and all the love I would see. How did I get so lucky? You were the dad chosen for me. There is something special about a father's love. Seems it was sent to me from some place up above. Our love is everlasting. I just wanted you to know that you're my special hero, and I wanted to tell you so.
Welcome to Positive Philter with your host, Philip Wilkerson, a podcast that focuses on friends, family, health, and career with a little self-help around the way. Please join me in this journey for self-improvement, and I hope that what I have to share will make you a better person, thus making the world a better place.
Call is now being recorded.
So, listeners, we're back with another episode of Positive Philter. That lovely intro was a poem by Christina Kirshen. I'm murder the names, but it was read by my lovely, lovely wife. And guess what? We have fan favorite Hillard McMorris.
Oh man, go ahead, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is the first official one where I'm like your co-host, right?
That's right. I was about to say that. This is no longer is Hillard just a guest. He is a co-host. So I'm going to just kind of explain that for the viewers. That means we're going to try to touch base and do, every other episode or as many episodes as we can together. Being that my man is the only black person in Idaho, I got to keep him in tune to the listeners out there in Virginia. But we're going to try to touch base every now and then.
All right, yeah, man, that sounds good, man. Got to represent for every other black American, Jamaican, everywhere, because I am definitely the only one out here. I don't even think I saw a black person today.
You didn't see? So yeah, a daily. I guess we'll do a daily check. Did you see one black person today in Idaho?
Yeah, I did not. Not today. But today's
not today.
Today's not over. You never know.
When we were recording this podcast, are you going to go back out to the store?
Maybe, yeah. I do have to get laundry detergent, so maybe I'll go to the store.
So there you go, listeners. There you go, listeners. You never know when he goes out to get that laundry detergent. He might get one for the day, and I'll be a victim. So this episode, obviously, me and Hillard share a lot of things in common. And as we lead up every single episode, about a particular topic, we share our bond of friendship, which is great. We share our bond of being black males and being very attuned to ourselves, which was about our perception of self. And as the poem led into, that Maggie just read, we share the joy and the blessings, I'm going to say blessings, of being fathers. And, honestly, it's funny how things work out coincidentally in life. We were able to share most of these life phases together, and we were able to share being fathers at the same time. So I find that pretty cool.
Yeah, that is, man. Yeah, I like you said, a blessing. Like, that's exactly what it is. Like, I love it. I love every moment of it. Now, like, I truly understand, like, when, people's like, oh, man, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. Like, you can empathize and, you like, oh, man, that's great, yeah. But then, like, when it does happen to you, like, it truly is, like, the best thing to, like, become a parent.
Yeah, it sounds like
that you want.
Yeah, I was about to say, let's be real for the listeners out there. If it's something that you really, really want, it's the best thing ever. I don't know.
You do have people that don't want it.
But, and it does sound like a cheesy Hallmark card, but it is probably one of the hardest / most rewarding things at the same damn time. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
It's hard. It's not easy. It's hard. But then they give you back these little nuggets of, you know, saying your name or saying I love you and all these like sappy things, and you realize, oh, okay, that is why it is one of the most rewarding things too, because they give you so much back. And that's what this episode is about. It's about fatherhood. And
yeah,
me and Hillard are getting a little bit more, you know, specific on our topics. And we kind of want to just talk about this episode, about how fatherhood has changed us and developed us as men. So we thought we'd do a little exercise with each other. We were going to say, how would we describe our father in one word? How would we describe ourselves in one word? And make a little comparison. So I let Hillard go first. How would you describe your dad and then yourself? And then I will just say how I describe my dad and myself, and then we'll talk about the comparison afterwards. So how would you describe your dad?
All right. So in one word, the word I'm going to go with sacrifice. For him. Do you want me to explain why I chose that?
Yeah, I mean, like sacrifice, like as an adjective, you mean like sacrificial, like, you know, yeah, like
no, like just make a sacrifice. Yeah, just
okay,
like,
that's the one word. Okay.
Yeah, so like him constantly like working. I mean, he's a truck driver, like he was on the road like all the time, and you know, I know there was times where you know he wanted to be at a football game for me, be at a football game for Dave, you know, sporting events, things like that, or he just wanted to be at home, spending more time with us, and it just couldn't happen. But you know. He's willing to make that sacrifice so that we can, you know, be in a better position, you know, as a family and things like that. And just a quick story. I remember one year we were getting ready to go to back to school shopping, and we didn't really have money. And so my dad, like, he had winter clothes, and he had his pair of jeans, and they had an orange stripe down the side of them. And instead of using the money to like buy like some summer clothes for him, you know, so that he could, you know, be kind of comfortable out there on the road, he gave my mom the money for me and Dave, and then he took scissors and cut his jeans pants and made them into shorts, you know.
Oh, snap.
And it's like
high fashion.
Yeah, you know, but you know, just it's like, man, you know, I'm gonna give up so my kids can have, you know. Like, yeah, like I will always remember that story. Like, I know I'm gonna share that story with Maddie. But like, this is something your granddad did, you know. So
I know.
That's the
but in general, he got the style to pull that off, though. His dad. You know, did he also wear fishnet white?
Come on, man. Why you trying to roast my dad, man? Come on, man. Yes, yep. He had like the white beater with like the hose. It's a Jamaican thing, man.
I know, but that's a great story that he actually did that for you. And then, what's the one word that you would use to describe yourself?
So I went with consistent. For my one word to describe myself, just always being there for Maddie. You know, if and when she needs me, you know, just making sure that I'm always present with her, making sure that you know, like she knows who I am, like especially at this young age, and you know, she's able to like, you know, just depend on me. So you know, and things like that. Like, so that's my one word. You know, make sure like no matter what, whenever, wherever, for her, I'm gonna make sure that I'm there.
That's great. All right, so you want me? So should I just go? So for my dad, surprise, I use the word discipline.
Right.
So
Colonel.
Yeah. So yeah, Colonel. So you know,
sense.
my dad. Yeah. So I would, and I'm not gonna say discipline. Like I think that's I'm doing it in a positive connotation, as in discipline, as in you know, the military game structure. But my dad this is not to say stuck in his ways, but my dad is routine. My dad is a man of routine, and I think along with that discipline, it's the positive adjectives of like being reliable, being, you know what you're going to get. And, you know, my dad I think, infused. I don't think the military made my dad who he was. I think he was already a disciplined kid growing up with my grandma by himself, you know, because his father passed away very young. So and then he went to military college, and then his whole career was military. So that discipline was there. And it's ironic. No, actually, I don't want to do the comparison yet. But, you know, like, my dad was always like, he did things a certain way. He made the bed a certain way. He folded his clothes a certain way. He liked to put things away a certain way. You knew what you got. And, you know, I think for kids, which is a positive, you know, a lot of the world for kids is new to them, but it's always good to have something that's consistent. And that's actually that's your word too, is that, like, with that discipline and that baseline, like, you know, kids know there can be a comfort in something that's familiar. So that's my word for my dad is discipline. Now, I'm going to use a different word for me. I think I'm going to go, obviously we're using only one word, but I'm going to go with the word silly, for me.
Okay.
Like, and I would say, I'm not going to say that's my main factor, but I think in general, since I've been around kids, whatchamacallit, like, just, you know, my neighbor's kids and things like that, I don't take myself too seriously. And I have that silly get on the floor, act like a kid. And what I don't know if I'm gonna murder this Bible verse because I'm not so versed on, like, remembering word for word things. But I remember certain saying you're called to be like a child, like childlike but not childish. You know what I'm saying? So I think that kind of goes with being silly. Like, I don't take myself so serious. I like to be like a child, have fun, be funny and giggly and all that. But then at the same time, it's like there's a line where it's like not being childish. Like, you still have adult responsibility. You got to adult sometime. You know, you got to be adulting. But I think that I like to be silly. I don't know. I think Bennett makes me laugh probably more than he realizes. Like, he is actually a funny person. Like, he's a character. And so me and him being silly, he's even starting to say things like funny when the things are funny. And so that even just that just hypes me more. And so I guess we got our two words. How would you compare yourself, the two words you use? So you use for yourself, you use sacrifice and consistent.
Consistent.
For yourself. And I use silly and discipline.
So are we comparing the two words between each other, or like between our dads?
I guess I would say compared it to, like, how does that differ from your dad? Like, I don't know. Like, for me, okay, like, discipline, like, I'm going to go with me. And maybe, I don't know if this is kind of just free falling. So, like, my dad is very disciplined. But now, as I've gotten older, I see that I'm kind of molding into, like, Maggie's still, I think, maybe more the disciplinarian. But I do see discipline coming out in me as a dad. And I see things like putting things away and doing routines and making the bed. I see my dad coming out. But I don't think that I'm as disciplined as my father. And I'm going to go, and I'm not saying strict or not, I just don't think that's just my mindset. But that's an easy comparison because I attribute a lot of that to my dad's military background, and I didn't go in the military. And my dad he's silly sometimes. I feel like I'm sillier than him. Like, in general, I feel like, I just feel like I'm pretty goofy. So, I don't know. I think that's where I'm gonna go with my comparison. I think the words work for both of us, me and my dad. Being disciplined and being silly work for both of us. But I think if there was like a strict to really silly on a line, I think I'd lean more towards silly than he is. That makes sense.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, all right. So, I mean, with sacrifice, like, I mean, it's just, I'm not saying like Maddie's gonna, like she gets any and everything she wants, but, you know, I'm definitely willing to make sure if it's me going without so that she can have, of course, like, I'm definitely going to do that. Something very minimal in the, you know, in the scale of like making a sacrifice, right? Sunday, we stopped at the store, and I I stopped there to go to Redbox to get Moana, for her, so she can watch it. She loves that. We played the soundtrack in the car. She's singing along, and I'm singing along with her, but she loves it. And so, I'm still holding on, to a TV. It's not a smart TV, so if that was the case, I would just buy it through Google, movies or whatever, right? But so I'm still kind of just holding on to that. When that TV kind of kicks out, then I'll update and get a smart TV. For those people thinking well, why don't you just get a smart TV instead of going to Redbox? But anyway, they didn't have it. She was already excited about it because she saw the picture of it, and when I clicked on the picture, it showed that it was rented out. And so I went in the store, because I knew they would have it. And I went over to the electronics section and I saw it, and man, it was $26.
Yo, so don't tell me you bought that though, did you?
Bruh, I bought it.
Because it was in the red box. Which she always say, was she already saying Moana? She was
Moana, so she doesn't say Moana. She's like, Nana.
Yeah.
And so she was already on it. And so if I would have walked away from that and not bought that DVD, man, I would have broke my little girl's heart.
Well,
when I saw the price, I was like, I didn't want to eat that $26, man. I didn't want to spend it. But it's one DVD film, $26.
What is that?
That is crazy.
Did it come with a sequel?
Well, it was a Blu-ray digital, it's all three in one, but still, $26. That's too much.
No, it's not. But I bought it. We got home. And I put it in, she dancing, she's singing, she's just having a great time, and I'm right there with her, dancing and singing and, but it's and the scale of sacrifice, so, that's something very small compared to what my dad did. Right.
But it's just
you're not there yet. I mean, you have a concrete example of your dad's sacrifice, but your dad's got a whole life of parenting ahead of you, so you never know. There might be a time where you're going to have to cut your jeans. You know what I'm saying?
Might be, But, at the end of the day, when you spend some money, you go out and you do something, you spend money, man, I shouldn't have spent that money. That was stupid. Or you make an impulse buy or something. I did not feel like that. I didn't feel like that at one time because, how happy she was, the smile on her face, just how she was jumping around and, the good time me and her was having. I was like, man, this is worth it. It was,
Right.
So
sacrifice.
Yeah. I was like, man, I don't care. Of course. So, that's kind of, I guess, my comparison to that. And just, just being, being consistent as well. Yeah. And just knowing, hey, I'm going to always be there for you. You can always turn to me. And that's stuff that, I tell her, and I tell her now, I love you. You're smart. You're kind. You're sweet. You're so funny. She does stuff, and she does stuff, and I laugh, and she'll start laughing because she see me laughing, because she's hilarious to me. Same thing the same thing you experienced with Bennett, So I do hit her with the line from The Help.
Oh, I was about to.
You're smart, you're kind. I hit it with that. So
I literally was laughing just now because, literally, I'm not joking. This sounds another we never, I want the listeners to know, we didn't discuss this before this podcast, but I literally, every single night, I say, Bennett, and we have a little routine. I say, I'm smart, I'm strong, and I'm kind. And he goes, smart, sure. And he, flexes his muscles and goes, strong. And he goes, gives himself a hug and say, kind. And I'm like, yeah, this does sound like The Help, but hey, it's the power of those words. And I think that's the other part with the discipline part or the consistency. That's going to be a routine. We got into that routine of doing that. And I don't know if it ingrains it. I mean, I don't know if he's really subconsciously is going to be oh yeah, I'm pretty smart. I remember my dad's always told me I was smart. I don't know. And he'll just feel that. Who knows? Yeah. I just know that if you keep on saying it, maybe he'll think it subconsciously.
No, I think it works. I'm a firm believer of that. Doing things like that, it works, man. You start to believe that stuff and you build a confidence, And I think, a lot of people are smart, and they can do things. They just lack the confidence to do it or willing to try it because of the fear of failure, you know. But if you don't have that fear, or that fear is so small, then you'll do it. And that comes from the confidence that you get, you know, at that early age, that foundation, those foundation periods, you know. And that's what we're doing. We're laying that foundation in our kids, man.
I think, I mean, it's like a creed. I feel like if you keep on saying it over and over again, they'll probably at least retain some of it. Where I don't feel like I don't know if Ben will ever think he's a genius, but I know he won't think he's dumb. I don't think that's ever going to be. Like, you know, like, I think the power of the words that we're saying, maybe he won't think he's going to get a PhD in rocket science, you know, but he at least be like, okay, like, I'm pretty smart. I can figure out, like, maybe he'll say, I'm smart. My dad thinks I'm smart. We worked on things. He can solve some of his own life problems on a smarter scale. Or if he's like, I'm strong, maybe I'm just telling him he's strong. It doesn't mean he has to, like, deadlift 600 or do all that stuff, but he'll be like, like, maybe he'll think it's just strong, like, you know, I can have strength in this situation, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then the kind part, you know, that's just, I want him to have the basic kindness to just be nice to other people, treat other people how you want to be treated. So I guess if you just keep on ingraining that, maybe you'll see, like, I always think, like, I always have these visions of, like, little scenarios, like, I envision him at elementary school, or like we talked about in our last podcast about perceptions and stuff, like coming home from school. I do have these grand visions of, like, real scenarios, and, like, I have ones of him, like, exhibiting those three different things of being smart or being kind, like someone needing help and he's helpful, you know? Right. So maybe saying it over and over again will be a beneficial thing. So so all the listeners out there, if we sound like we're from the help, well, it's what we're going to do. We're going to keep on doing it. I'm going to stop. Hey. And I'm sure other parents do that out there too.
Oh yeah, for sure. And And I mean, I think it's a positive thing, you know. It's something that, you know, I think it doesn't hurt. Definitely doesn't hurt. So
yeah, that's what I say. It doesn't. You might as well. Yeah, why not do it? So, like, with this, as we're growing up, like, we're tying in our words and our actions. Like, how has fatherhood changed your perspective? Because I think a lot of, you know, I think what we did pretty well with the last podcast about our perception of self, you know, in regards to being black. But yeah, what perspective of yourself has changed since fatherhood?
Oh man, so man, with me, it changed. It shifted my perspective, like, because I have a daughter. You know, like I look at stuff so different now because of my daughter. You know, if it was a son, I probably, you know, it would still change. I'm sure it definitely would change, but it's just certain things that I look at now, and the way I react to certain things, and, you know, kind of thinking about her, and, like, you know, some of the things she's going to deal with, like body image, and, you know, and like self-confidence, and make sure she's, you know, she has those things, and, you know, she knows her worth, and, you know, how, you know, when she gets to that point, hopefully when she's like 25, and starts you know, then she, 25, you know, she knows, like, hey man, this is how a guy's supposed to treat me. Obviously she's gonna be dating a lot sooner than that, and, you know, I'm just scared like every dude, so I don't care. Like,
hit her with the bad boys too.
Oh man, but you gotta be out here though, because remember he had, you know.
Nah, you need someone like you need like someone like Jay, man. If you had like me and you, like, I'd just get laughed at and you'd be the scary one. So we probably.
But they both started wielding like guns and stuff like that. So you just need a gun. Like, start wielding.
There you go.
Don't be bringing my niece back here, like, you know, 10, 16. She better be back here at 10, 15. For those people that have never seen Bad Boys 2, go check it out. It's actually like, it's hilarious.
I hope you've seen Bad Boys 2. But yeah, I mean, I think that is an interesting perspective of girl, because like you know, I would say, in perspective, like, for just to add on to your perception thing, not to take away from yours, is that we've seen the adult version of what either absentee dad has on a little girl, or a dad that's not like nice to their daughters, and how that plays out. Like, we've seen like the 20 years down the line version, you know what I'm saying? And I totally agree that a lot of a girl's self-confidence is tied to her communication with her father. Or, as you also said, a girl will find a partner or someone that treats them as well as their father does, because the dad laid down the guidelines, like, you know, of respect. So
Right.
it's very, I think your role is a little important. And then, you know, we can flip the coin and say that the role of a father to a son is important because it's a modeling thing. But, you know, I think I do agree that the role of a parent to the opposite sex makes a big difference. I mean, not to be respectful of the LGBTQ people out there, all that saying. I'm just saying that the seeds of perception for our particular stance. So I'm just talking about fathers. I'm not going to go further about mothers and you know, two fathers and anything like that. You know,
Right.
I'm talking about particularly a father to a daughter. There is a big influence on a woman's self-confidence tied to how their dad treats them.
Right.
You know,
and I tell people this all the time. I'm like, I'm the first man, you know, like she's gonna kiss. I'm her first dance. I'm the first guy she falls in love with. Like, that's big pressure. So I need to make sure that I'm on top of my game, you know, and love this little girl in the best way that I can, and keep learning, you know, and keep loving her. And you know, it goes right back to the consistency of just
right,
being there for her. Yeah.
It does.
So, you know, knowing that I'm going to be her first in so many different things, in so many different areas, you know, like you said, man, it's really important. And it changed my perspective. Like, all right, I gotta make sure, like, even if I think I'm good right now, like, I still need to step my game up and, you know, and always strive to do better, you know, not just do good, but always strive to do better. So.
Right.
Yeah. So now you.
I don't know, my perception, I think my perception changes a lot of, like, I'm going to go back to my perception of time has changed since I've had a kid. The value of time. And this kind of ties back into the friendship episode that we did earlier. But it's, my son, when I schedule my time out for the week, I have to realize I want to do things for myself. I want to maintain my self-identity, you know, do my own thing, you know, have my own activities, do my own hobbies. But I also realize the importance of giving my time not only to my wife, because obviously if our marriage is not strong and I don't give her time, that's the foundation.
Right.
But also I realize the importance of giving my time to Bennett. And as we get older, honestly, I kind of look more forward to the time that we're going to spend together because fast forwarding, I see the activities that we can do as father-son that are going to be pretty awesome. And that time, that perception of time and how important that is to spend time together is, I wouldn't say really, particularly changed because like I know that was always important. But I didn't realize like how much, you know, discipline it takes to budget your time to make sure that you give enough time to your son. And also puts in perspective like all the dads that I see doing awesome jobs and how much time they're actually sacrificing to, you know, balance being dads, to balance having their own life and fun things they do for themselves and work, you know, or if they do work. Right. So my value and my perception of time has changed. It's my time is a lot more limited. And, you know, it also adds to, when I say adds to the friendship thing, it's like, okay, if I choose to spend my time invested in something else outside my home, I better make sure that it's very important. Because if it's time away from Bennett or time away from Maggie, it has to be worthwhile because they're worthwhile. So if it's me just being willy-nilly and stuff like that or just hanging out with acquaintances and things like that, that's not valuable. But if I'm hanging out with a friend outside my home, I better make sure that friend is someone of great value to me. Because while I'm spending time with that friend, that means I'm not spending time with Bennett and Maggie. So I think that's what really changes my perception of time. And also what I value is important in friendships and who I value as an important friend. If I'm going to spend time with you, away from my family. I mean, that's
Right.
really, really big. That's really big. And I don't know. That's pretty much. I mean, not saying pretty much. It's a lot of other things. The consistency part. You don't know what it's like to be a parent until you are a parent. Those are all very true statements. Your level of empathy for your parents above you, before you, or your grandparents, or like, I had these weird visions. Like, dang, how did like my grandfather raise 7 kids in the 1960s or so without like an iPad? like I heard stories that my grandfather would drive from Charlotte all the way to Florida, all the kids packed up in a station wagon with no phone or nothing. Like, how do you survive that? What did you do? You sing songs all the way down? Like mad kudos. Like, my empathy now has changed because it's like I'm picturing myself in these scenarios of my parents' scenarios or my grandparents' scenarios and say, how do they do it with the different, I guess you just make it work as technology progresses or time progresses, but it's like, give them mad credit. I don't know. It's just crazy.
Right.
And
I just give them kudos. Man, anybody with multiple kids, man, I give you kudos because, man, just Maddie on her own, man. That little girl's got so much energy, like, all the time, and it's just like she just wants to go, And I mean, I love it because, it's just, I love to play anyway, so I'm just having a great time with her, and it's always fun. But I can only imagine, like, having 2. Like, so on that same day, Sunday, later on, like, after we watched Moana for, like, about an hour or so, we left and we went to meet up with one of my coworkers, and he has 4 girls. The oldest is 6. Like, the oldest is 6. And his youngest is only a month older than Maddie. And so for listeners, Maddie's, she's 1.5, okay? About 18 months, 19 months. And so, but he's always counting. Like, every 5 minutes, he's counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 minutes past. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, he has to locate them, man, because they're all over the playground, all over the place. And so I'm like, man, and I'm just like, dude, I don't know how you do it. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know how you do it. I wouldn't do this. Yeah.
I think it's another thing, like, once you're in it, you do it. You become.
Right. Yeah. But man, I think I'm like, I'm sure I'm good with 1, man. Maddie, my heart and my soul. And I'll just
You're good.
Her.
You're done with 1? You're 1 and done?
I think so, man. I'm pretty sure.
I don't want to be the Duggards, but I think I want more kids. But I also can't imagine having 19 kids. But that's another story. But I think your point of the other part about, I guess, the perception change is like, it's like anything in your world when you say I can't do it, or that's crazy, I can't imagine that guy saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Mm-hmm. But then I bet now he's in that life where it's like he doesn't know any other way. Like, you become a dad of 4 kids. And you survive.
He's so natural. Like, if I was sitting there watching him, and I've had people say like, oh man, like you're natural with Maddie and you do such a great job. But like, I'm sitting there watching him, and he's like, he does it so natural. It's like, man, get this man a cape. Like, like he's doing his thing. So like you said, like, definitely, if you're in it, you do it. And it's just like, 'cause we freaked out when we were becoming dads. And we shared that with one another, like, man, I don't know, like, I don't want to be a bad parent. I don't want to fail. All those things kind of happen. And, like, once we started being in it, it just, you learn things as you go. You learn and you adapt and you grow. And you just, and you do the best you can. And, like, you'll be surprised you doing the best you can, like, how good that really is.
Yeah, you wing it, not like, sometimes you figure it out and then you adjust and like, I literally, I just thought about that, like, we went down to Atlanta for a car ride, 10-hour car ride, and beforehand, thinking about how scary that's going to be and how hard that's going to be. It is. And then we did it, you just do. And then now look back in hindsight, after it's over with, it's like something you can do again, you know? And I think kind of leading to our last part of this podcast is about the suggestions for other new fathers or for new fathers and expecting fathers. Is like, I think, you know, it's okay to be worried or anxious about it, but like for that road trip we planned, we thought of different scenarios and, you know, how are we going to stop? What if he does this and all that stuff? And we just did. I mean, and he threw up once and he lived, he survived, you know, like he threw up once. So I mean, that's a victory. He slept most of the time. We made it down there, back, and you'll figure it out. And like, I'm gonna say one of my biggest suggestions is actually something that you actually do, and we both did, is that when I was about to become a parent, and one of my biggest learning styles is from watching or observing others, is that I just surrounded myself with dads. Now, I didn't purposely just say like, you know, I'm only hanging out with dads, but I did just observe. One of the, you know, still giving mad props to a dad is my friend Sam Hardman. You met him. Is that he's an awesome dad. I was actually inadvertently, he doesn't know it, but he was kind of like adopted as my dad mentor when I was thinking about it. But the thing is, the only difference is that I can't use him as a direct reference right now because his kids are way older than mine. So, you know, I can't like draw illusions like how would Sam handle this particular situation because he's so far out. But what I did observe, it was natural or that he did, is that I always give him props. And I don't know why. It's something that I guess it's sad that this is what, you know, I guess in our societal thing is about the hands-on-ness part of being a dad, like cooking. He cooks. He, you know, drops off. He picks up from school. All those different things he does. And his level of involvement in his two boys' lives was something that was very, very noticeable to me, where I literally said to Maggie, like, when I become a dad, I'm probably going to be just as hands-on as him. And I literally thought about that in my head. And I was like, and I'm going to be able to handle drop-offs. I'm going to be able to handle. I made it a point to say to myself, like, I want to be able to be the type of dad that, like, if Maggie needed to go somewhere or do something, I felt confident in being by myself. And while Sam's kids are like grown kids, he literally just he does that all the time. He's, you know, not saying he's all by himself all the time, but he's handling situations by himself. And he lets his wife, I hate to use the word lets, but Anne gets to enjoy her life as a mother, but also have time to herself because her husband steps up. And Anne can work out. She can do her CrossFit. She can go hang out with her girlfriends. And I was like something in the back of my head that I was like, if I became a dad, I wanted Maggie to be able to have her own separate life. I want her to be able to have drinks with her girlfriends at dinner and go out at night, and I can handle bedtime. And I literally just watched Sam. And like just recently, I went fishing with him, and it was like kind of third wheel, but it was like a third wheel father-son thing where it was his son, me, and one of his sons, because his other son didn't want to go. His son, me, and him just fishing. And literally it was just like, I was like really like, I can't imagine, like not imagine, but like I really, really enjoyed that. It was, you know, hanging out, fishing, but I was also observing like that could be our future. I literally was picturing my future, like maybe someday I can take Bennett fishing and give Maggie a time to herself while we're out on a boat fishing. And those are concrete examples. So if you're becoming a new dad, or like anything like you want to do, I always implore you to just surround yourself, you know, with other dads, naturally. You know, like don't like randomly go on Craigslist to say, you know, new dad searching new dad to hang out with, you know, like no, find the dads that are in your life, you know what I'm saying? Like,
first of all, if somebody would do that,
I know someone. Come on, in the whole world, someone made a Craigslist ad that dad is searching dad, and it was like it wasn't even like a gross, creepy like trying to hook up junk. They were like, I just need friends that are dads I can watch.
For real? Man, you shared something with me that I didn't even know.
I don't know if that's real. I'm about to find it. I bet you I will find it though. It's got to be out there. Come on, the internet, man. The world of the internet. Like don't underestimate the randomness and the power of the internet. I'm sure it's out there. The point is, find someone that could be your dad mentor. And that's what I'll call it right now. A dad mentor that's not directly your dad. Because one, your dad, I'm not saying don't ask your dad for advice, but like your dad's been out of the game for so long. Like some of this stuff, they're like, what? You still like change diapers? Like they literally have forgot how to be the baby part. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like, I mean, just honestly, when people ask me, how did you like remember not sleeping? I don't remember much. So I'm saying like, attach yourself to a dad that's like in the same realm as you or a little bit ahead of you. A couple months, maybe 6 months, and have a dad mentor because, you know, we all know that mentors you. It's easy to learn and feel connected when you know someone else has been through it like you or going through it like you. It humanizes the experience. It lowers the experience and makes the experience a little bit more relatable. And like I said, for me, looking at how dads are that are older dads than me, it gives me a view, like a crystal ball into what a dad future for me could be very soon, and that makes me very excited. So that pretty much is my advice. Find a dad mentor, not on Craigslist, and get some help. Learn from them. Observe. So what advice would you have for new parents or fathers?
New fathers? All right. So new fathers or expecting fathers, a couple things. Number one, the likelihood of you getting sleep is very, very, very low. But you might be one of the lucky ones where, you know, your newborn son or daughter like sleeps and you're good and, you know, everything is great. And if that's the case, great for you. I'm super jealous. But yeah, I mean, that would be like my advice. Like, and it gets better. It does. It really does. Like people say that, but it actually does. I didn't believe them when people would tell me that, like, oh, it gets better. Like, you know, eventually, you know, your daughter, she'll start sleeping and it'll get a little bit better. But it actually did. And it got better. So that would be one thing, just kind of just hanging there. And the second one is that I know sometimes, and, you know, I'm going to say sometimes because it doesn't always happen, you know, dads tend to not get a lot of credit. And, you know, it's like these are our expectations, you know, this is what you're supposed to do as far as like society standards and things like that. And we, you know, and you do it or whatever, your household standard, whatever you guys, you know, people may have set in their house. But, you know, and that's fine. You might not get the credit for it, but just like, I would say, you know, as a dad, like be okay with that. You're not going to get the credit for everything. Be okay with that and keep doing the things that you're doing and even try to build on top of that and do more. Like you said, be involved, you know, be consistent. Even when you come home, you're tired. And, you know, instead of, you know, not going outside and, you know, playing with your son or your daughter or, you know, kind of like giving, you know, your wife or your girlfriend, whoever, that break, you know, like try to do that. Be more involved because all it's going to do is benefit that child. And it's just going to help that child to just grow and develop more, you know, into that person because, you know, like, for me, like, I just, you know, like, my love for my dad, like, I remember just those things that he did for me, you know. And so, like, it just, even now, I'm 32 years old, I reflect back on those things, and it helps me and it motivates me, and it kind of keeps me going and making sure, like, hey, I need to make sure that I'm doing these things for Madison, you know. If that means buying a DVD that's $26, hey, I'm going to buy a DVD that's $26. Like, you know, but doing, you know, just doing things, you know, like, just be there. Even though you know you ain't going to get credit for it, man. You might do something. You're not going to get credit for it. You know, it's all right. Just keep doing it. You know?
Or, one of my things is, like, you might not get it directly from, take the credit when you do get it and use that. Like, I think definitely, I try to tell other dads, like, all the time, like, hey man, you're doing a good job. I tell you that you're doing a good job. You tell me I'm doing a good job. So, like,
Yeah.
I think another support for men to other men is tell other men. Like, that's going to be a big thing too. I think that if you always looking for externally, I don't know, you might not get it, but like as a brotherhood of dadhood, whatever you call it, that's the part where we can work on that is by saying, hey man, I see you crushing the game. I see you with your little man, or saying like things like you don't have to be soft about it. You don't have to be like, you can be like, even joking, but like, I always say to Marcus, or something like that, I'm like, I see you crushing. Like, Marcus, he's very involved. He has like Fridays, he calls them Daddy Daycare, and he does Snapchats and stuff. He sends little Snapchats of his son. I always like make sure I send him like little emojis with the little prayer hands or something like that, the little clap hands. So like, I see what you're doing. I see you like that. I say things like that, and I think that's where you're giving each other positive reinforcement. And that's where we can support each other.
And then you got, like, at the end of the day, who's benefiting from all of this? I mean, for me, that's more than enough motivation. At the end of the day, who's benefiting from my child?
Yeah.
And so, like, and that's more than enough. That's all I need. Because you know what? Like, they'll come back. It might not happen right away, but they'll come back, and then you'll get that. You'll get that gratification. I tell my dad now, I'm like, man, thank you for doing this, for doing that, like for sacrificing this. I tell him now, like, all that stuff, because I know I was bad. I was bad at times. And and he still did it, and he still, like, he didn't give up. He was consistent with it. Like, he made sacrifices. He was, disciplined, all these different adjectives. And it paid off in the end, I think, so, and so, like, I benefited from that stuff. And so just know, man, as a father, and if you can be in your child's life, Phil, my situation, but ain't no way I'm not going to be there for my daughter. And ain't no way, like, ain't nothing going to stop me from being in my child's life. So if you have the opportunity to be in your child's life, man, definitely step up. Take the opportunity in any way, shape, or form you can. Fight for a relationship with your child. If it's one of those situations.
Yeah, because it's important. You realize the future part of it.
So important. So important.
And at the end of the day too, it's like I feel like maybe I have, sometimes I say I have dreams unfulfilled. You try to chase your dreams, but dreams unfulfilled. But like if my son does good things with his life, then honestly I don't feel like I have dreams unfulfilled. That makes sense. Because then at least someone beyond me did something. And that gives me like a lot of comfort to keep doing. It gives me comfort to do things to set a good tone or example for my son and foundation. But like if he does and goes on and does great things and becomes a great person, like then I feel like I did a good job. And like that, I'm not saying for me, I should only do that for him, but like that's great. That's like you did like the best job, or you took the most important job of your life seriously. Like there's no other job to me that's more important. Monetary, that can come and go. Like literally, lose money, not money. But like, you have a tangible effect on someone's life. Like how that person turns out as a person. Like, like direct impact. Like your actions have impacts on people, like your friendships and things like that. But like with your kid, like this is literally a direct correlation of how you are as a person will have a tangible effect on how this person grows up and what they become. So like I'll reiterate to the dads that are doing a good job, like keep doing a good job, because if anything else, if you feel like you didn't accomplish, I never got my $1 million. I never saw the Super Bowl. Specifically, I never saw the Redskins in the Super Bowl, which is never going to happen. I know that, I know that in general, like if he did something good, then there's no dreams unfulfilled. Like you fulfilled it. You did great. Like, there's no
Right.
such thing as a dreams unfulfilled if your kids turn out good. That's my opinion. So
Yeah.
I think that's a good place, a heavy place to leave. Oh my goodness, we got
One more
deep there,
thing, man.
but,
One more thing. I mean, we do gotta we gotta say shout out to all the dads, man, that are doing it, that are gonna be doing it. Kind of keep going, man. Stay encouraged. Just keep grinding, man. Like we appreciate you. All our boys that are fathers, and they were ahead of us.
I'm gonna give out some names. Shout outs, man. Shout out to Justin. Shout out to Larry. Shout out to Charles. Shout out to my neighbor Josh, who listens to this
Shout
podcast.
out to Kirk.
Shout out to Kurt. Shout out to Sam Hardman. Shout out to all these dads, man. Shout out to Marcus. Shout out. I don't know. I'm probably gonna forget some people, but those are the first people that came to my head.
Man.
Obviously, shout out to our dads too. Shout out to our dads,
Right.
but in general, the ones that are really doing it right now. Shout out to them. Shout out to my cousin BJ. I feel like I'm gonna miss. Obviously in this podcast, I'm probably gonna forget some people that are saying shout outs to, but shout out to David. Helping out with.
My little brother, man. Yeah.
That's a fatherly role.
Yeah,
that's
that is a fatherly role, man. And he's definitely doing his thing. Yeah, man.
There's so many shout outs. But, obviously, like I said, if, just because I didn't say your name, obviously, if you know your father and you're doing a good job, shout out to you. You're doing it. Yeah. You're very important. You deserve, recognition. You deserve a clap, was it a pat on the back? They don't say clap on the back. I was going to clap his back.
Like, what is that?
Clap back.
That might be something you can put in the Craigslist description. Seeking a friend to give me a clap on the back.
Clap on the back. Speaking of dad, to watch and observe and give me claps on the back.
All right, man. Yeah, we need to wrap it up.
So before we wrap it up, we're going to do a follow-up Q&A only episode, no topic. Some of the questions are coming in. If you want to send us questions, either email me or Hillard, text me and Hillard. We'll save those, or use the hashtag #AskPositiveFilter on Twitter. We got T-shirts for sale, shameless plug, at tripletimetees.com. The links are in the show notes. Keep supporting the movement. Keep supporting me and Hillard. Obviously, after the Q&A, we'll have some more topics and subjects. We're very excited about it, and we're really thinking this is going to go somewhere far. So, thank you so much for listening, and all those that listeners.
Yes.
So, thank you so much, and we're out.
You have been listening to Positive Philter, a podcast that focuses on family, friends, health, and career, with a little self-help along the way. Positive Philter was edited by Ronald Young Jr., host of Time Well Spent podcast and creator of Oh It's Big Ron Studios. Thank you to my co-hosts Hillard McMorris, Ryan Roseman for the music, Maggie for being an amazing and supportive wife, and all the listeners. This episode was dedicated to the fathers out there, and I felt as though I left some dads out in the episode that I'd like to take this moment right now to shout out. I'd like to shout out Jeff Kirsch, my father-in-law, Nick Masson, my brother-in-law, Charles Robert James, my cousin, Omar Fillmore, Armand Saunders, Danny Galino, Rashad Harris, Adrian Ferguson, Larry Smith, Jay Feynman, all my uncles, Dean Picari, my podcast mentor, Matt Goff, Bijan Knight, Freddie Davis, Kevin Bell, Mark Holbrook, Michelle, Hillard's cousin aka Jay-Z, Kurt Taves, and Tim Snee. Even after this list of shoutouts, I know I left out some amazing and wonderful dads. If you know me and you're a good dad, just know that I want you to keep up the good work and keep on being a positive influence on the next generation. If you have any questions for Positive Philter, please message me or use the hashtag #AskPositiveFilter on Twitter. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your family and friends. Spreading positivity is a movement. Thanks for listening.